is a standing bouquet. It's made with wool, and I used the wool over toilet paper rolls. I got this from our garden club meeting that I did the fair at Gloria's, and someone was talking about saving toilet paper rolls for crafts, and I was like, And so we started saving toilet paper rolls, and then I was like, oh, I can use them. So part of this is toilet paper rolls, and the other part of it is some video tubes filled with water, because I can't get everything into water. If I got short stems, I want something that I can add short stems into. So let's see if this works. So I'm going to go ahead and cut some pieces of wire just in case I need them. The big issue here is weight. So I took the rolls and I basically attached them to each other. They're all glued in place. They're all made up. They're all glued onto the tubes, and then I glued all the tubes together. And then I just worked the bamboo up between them, and I bound it in places. I think it might have been glued a little bit onto the bamboo also.
What kind of glue do you use?
It's hot glue. I have a hot glue gun I bought from Germany. Yeah. Yeah, I've told this story before. I bought one that was really expensive, and I think I had buyer's remorse right away because I was like, if this doesn't work, then I've spent like, $175 on a glue gun. And I thought, well,
What's the water source?
it's going to be at the bottom, this tray.
Oh,
Yeah. So I'm not going to add water now. It can get added later, but this tray holds enough water.
Keith, do you make this design, then construct it, or do you construct and contemplate your materials?
Can you repeat her question?
So you want to know if I make this and if I have a preset way of designing this ahead of time? Yes and no. I have an idea of what I can use it for, and I try to make it so that I can use it with many different materials. So when I've made it before, it was with grasses and very light materials, and that's only because I couldn't quite find other floral materials I wanted, but what I really had in mind was arabicum, some nice tall arabicum, some apocetum. None of those are available. So I try to make something that I can do in many different ways that has some different functionality.
How long did it take you to make that?
You know,
Days?
no, it took a few days. I don't usually sit down and make one thing all at one time. I kind of make it in stages and think about it because I want to know where it's going. Like with those pieces down there, originally this was all going to be another Japanese paper that was in purple. So I was just going to fill it up, and then I was like, well, if I fill it up, it's a column of paper, and I like the transparency that was here, and I wanted to keep that. I thought it was more important, and I like the fact that everything kind of matched color-wise. So I kind of went, okay, and then I was going to put wool in there, and I was like, that, and then again, it fills it up, it takes away from the transparency. I wanted to have that transparency. So, part of it is me trying to work out that process of where it's going, because I have an idea, but then I'm very good about going, okay, it can be something else. It's going in a direction.
Let's go with it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's like you start working with materials and you realize it's the wrong material. You have to have the most suitable material for what you're doing. And sometimes we get materials and we want to work with them so badly, and we start forcing that idea, And when you start forcing the idea, it never works. In the end, you come up with something that you're like, yeah. And sometimes you have to do that just to learn that lesson. Yeah. And a lot of it for me, even working with this, is just learning how to work with materials. The more I work with the same materials, the more I learn about them. And sometimes mistakes I've made with them before have helped me understand what the limitations are or what I can do better next time. I always analyze everything. I think it's just my nature. Equisetum I've had a really hard time getting it.
Up to my yard.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
and where I used to live in Brookland, I had it in my yard and all the time. But the wholesaler, I've had the hardest time trying to get it from them this year. This is every time I've asked, it's not been available. And even this time they're like, yeah, we don't think we can get it. And then when the box arrived, it was there. I was like, oh, great. I've been really fortunate this week because this is the first time, I think, the whole year that I've ordered stuff and I've got most of what I wanted. One time earlier this year, I had a project for one of Gregor's classes, and I opened the box, and there's a bunch of flowers in there, and there's some leaves. And I'm like, okay, where are all the other flowers? They weren't available. And so I had to scramble and go to Trader Joe's. And I feel for the wholesalers because it's not their fault. They're trying to do the best they can. So. Even with some of these flowers, I haven't complained if I've not gotten the color I want. Like these, I would like to have been a brighter pink, but it's the first time we have to get the rains this year, so I'm very happy.
What's it called?
What is it?
Is that a naked lady?
This is a marine lily. The rings come in white, light pink, like a hot pink, red. There might even be one that's yellow. Now I'm going to come around the front. Yes.
I'd like to work in house. I want to know where to keep all these things and how to do it. Some of us are saying that when we all started doing designs, we had a couple of things on one little shelf and it was easy to find things. Now, oh my God, how do you keep all of this? All your toilet paper rolls wrapped with rolling fells and the masking tape and all of this.
I have very little space. My studio, and my partner and I moved into a condo in Capitol about 3.5 years ago. And it's getting full. I'm at the point where I realized, something to make a studio.
We know that point.
Yeah.
How would you transport something like this?
This would have to be a inside. Yeah. But, you know, it's not a lot of flowers, so this can be done in just minutes. So that's the good thing about it.
Have you done other design? I mean, this to me has the base that's an Ikebana, you know, sticks, I forgot what it's called.
Yeah, I mean, I have teaching degrees in Ghana. So that influence is always going to be there, always.
That's lovely.
So I'm definitely thinking this through. I'm going through it, like here, wants to be bigger.
Did he say to use test tubes to put the wool around? What's inside?
So I'm using This foliage, this is a Xanadu philodendron. I buy these by the bunch in Europe. I can't necessarily get them here. So I asked Beagle Gardens on Capitol Hill, they have a plant. I said, can you get me another one? So I got one, and I'm going that out. So that's really, if you don't have something.
Can you say the name again?
It's called Xanadu.
Xanadu.
Philodendron. Love it. Absolutely love it.
There, you're back. You're back.
Xanadu.
It's perfect.
Now I'm trying to decide if I need more or not.
Is it a house plant? It is.
It is a house plant.
So if they don't go all the way down to the bottom to reach the water, how are they getting water? These little orange ones you put in?
Water tubes.
There's
Yeah,
tubes in
yeah,
there.
Yeah, so it's a mix of open toilet paper tubes
Okay,
and some bathing tubes.
got it.
Because, some materials aren't gonna be long enough, so I kind of anticipated that. And there's a lot of openings here, I don't have to fill everything up. Sometimes I think people think if I made this or if I had all these water tubes, I'd fill it with every single material. I'm just giving myself options for placement. And for me, this is enough.